As of 23, there's been certain incentives that the agencies have come out with that they're really looking to lean into. One of those is 5 to 50 units. Properties that are 5 to 50 units are I won't say they're getting waved in, right? They're not making ridiculous decisions, but they are getting incentivized to bring those deals in between 5 and 50 units.
We talked a little bit about the LTVs last time as well, and we actually talked about how I was actually pretty misinformed, thinking that the lenders were putting the caps on the LTVs, that they didn't want to lend more than 65 or 60%, but it really has to do with the debt service coverage ratio and the limits that the property itself puts in there. Are the lenders still willing, if they miraculously saw a piece of property that had a qualifying DCSR, are there still product out there where people would lend on 75, 80% if the DCSR makes sense?
In bold letters, yes. Like the neon sign is on. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are, number one, their allocations were reduced. Right, they would drop down to they were cut by $3 billion each in allocations for this year, off of last year, because of they didn't meet their allocations last year, and this year they are, as of Q1, they are way off on their volume. It's truly a function of overall deal volume just not being there. I'm prepping a couple deals that we're going to bring to market here in Q2. And in talking to various brokers, interviewing various brokers, talking to some shops that haven't sold anything since November. And this is all good for you guys on the call. The appetite for industry professionals is there to earn your business. They want to transact. As of 23, there's been certain incentives that the agencies have come out with that they're really looking to lean into. And give you two in particular. One of those is 5 to 50 units. Properties that are 5 to 50 units are I won't say they're getting waved in, right? They're not making ridiculous decisions, but they are getting incentivized to bring those deals in between 5 and 50 units. Another adjustment, and this is specific to Freddie Mac small balance, and I'm really encouraged by this because this is what I've built the last 20 years of my business on, is catering to this clientele. Freddie Mac small balance has modified their previous experience qualifications, and they have included duplexes, triplexes, and quads to qualify as previous experience. It's huge. I mean, to me, leaning into that investor avatar, that investor that's built a portfolio in a market of duplexes and quads, but hasn't cracked into that 20 unit space or that 10 unit space or what have you, they're putting their arms around those people. Smaller deals, and investors that have kind of parceled together their portfolios, but they're hands-on investors. They know how to work with these tenants. To me, that speaks volumes, and I'm really pleased to see it.
Yeah, so the headline, again, saying, to your point number two, don't listen to the headlines so much, but so the headlines seem to be indicating that, lending is down, and that's a reflection of the lenders are getting a little bit, they're trying to shore up cash, the whole banking thing. What I'm hearing from you, though, Eric, is saying, no, the banks are open for business. They'd love to lend out. In fact, they're adjusting their criteria to almost loosen a little bit more, add some experience that they otherwise didn't accept, and also, incentivizing really 5 to 50 units. So the message here, if I'm hearing it correctly, Eric, is that lenders want to lend, and they're actually loosening somewhat their underwriting criteria in order to put that money to use, because as you said, they're under allocated to where they wanted to be.
You couldn't have brought up a better point. It's so in line and so crucial to discuss the difference in lenders, and when we always have to caution ourselves of generalizing the term lender, because you just mentioned banks, and banks, I think, are the inverse, right? That over the next couple years, banks are going to be tightening up. They're going to get scrutinized harder. I don't know what percentage they held. I think it was over 65% of some of these commercial real estate loans were held by the regionals and the smaller banks. They are going to really have to analyze their deals and be extra careful on what they're going to do. Fannie and Freddie are a different ballgame. Securitized debt, government-sponsored enterprises, they are looking to lend. So differentiating between your bank debt, which for my clients over the years, bank debt hasn't really been the go-to lender. One, it's typically recourse. Two, it's typically shorter amortization, maybe 25 years. They'll do 80% leverage, but the way they're underwriting the cash flow is not as liberal as what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac do, right? When Fannie and Freddie look at the numbers, they take your T3, the current snapshot, and annualize that. Then they listen to our budgeted expenses, which is wonderful, right? Where a lot of your CMBS lenders and some of these banks, they're looking at what the seller's doing and treating it as though you're going to do the same thing. So the banks haven't been my client avatar anyway, their go-to lender. And Fannie and Freddie, volumes down, programs are as they have been. They're leaning into smaller investors. I think that's going to be a real viable source going forward.
If you enjoyed this video and you want to check out the entire episode, click here. And if you want to see another similar video, click here.